A very good morning, students. Welcome back to online session on Programming for Problem Solving course. In our previous session, we have concluded your second unit. We discussed about string manipulation functions, the last concept in your second unit. In today's session, we'll be starting your third unit. And basically, if you see all these concepts we have inside your third unit, that is again we have to discuss about the algorithms, basic algorithms, the definition, the characteristics of algorithm, all those things once again we see. Then we have to know what is searching, then sorting as well. So searching, sorting, they are the important concepts from your third unit, we can say. So what is searching we need to know, and what is sorting algorithms we have, that also we need to know. So basically these searching types, two different types of searchings we will discuss over here. The first one is linear search, and the second one is binary search. Okay, linear and binary search algorithm. Then coming to this sorting algorithms, as they have listed over here, bubble sort and selection sort we will discuss. Then after that, finding the roots of an equation. So given a quadratic equation, what is the procedure to find the uh, roots for that quadratic equation? From your mathematics, you already have the knowledge. Simply we try to implement that concept over here. Okay, and not only this, finding the roots, we will also see what is Fibonacci series, how we can implement the Fibonacci series, the concept, the implementation, everything we will see over here. And also the factorial. Given a number, how we can calculate the factorial of that number, that also we will see in this concept itself, basic algorithm concepts itself. Okay, then we have functions concept. In these functions, what exactly a function is, the built-in functions, we also call them as predefined functions, and the user-defined functions. What is the difference between predefined and user-defined functions? How we use them in our C programming language, everything we will discuss. Then we have the parameter passing concept, parameter passing to the functions, call by value, call by reference, everything we will discuss over here. Then passing arrays to functions, the final concept in this third unit, passing arrays to functions. uh, Having a function, having an array, how we can pass that array to the function. I mean, passing individual values, passing the whole array, all those things, because array we know it is a collection. When it is a collection, we can pass single values from that array, or we can pass the entire array as a collection to the function. Okay, both the things we will see over here. So let's just start this third unit, and as they have given the order over here, will not go according to the order. Like first they want us to discuss about basic algorithms, then they want us to discuss about functions, and finally the passing parameters, that is nothing but passing arrays to functions, but will not go in this order. So first what we do means we'll go with functions concept now. We'll start functions and we'll discuss what is functions and all um, in today's session. Okay, that means we start the third unit with functions concept. Then we go with this arrays concept, passing arrays to functions concept. Then finally we discuss these basic algorithms. Okay, so first we do functions, then passing arrays, then the basic algorithm. So quickly, in today's session, let just start this functions concept. Okay, yeah, functions. See, so far whatever programming we have done, the simple programs, very simple programs, like hardly some 8 to 10 lines of code we have seen in a C program. So we are calling them as simple because they are very small, and the logic processing whatever we have done inside those programs, it is very easy. It was very easy. So uh, uh, as the program size, as the number of lines of code inside your program increases, sometimes it will become very difficult for a programmer to write the entire code within the main function only. As we have seen, whatever C program we are writing, inside the main function only we are writing. between the two curly brackets of your main function, we are writing the complete program. Okay, if the number of lines increases, if the program logic increases, problem logic increases, then ultimately what will happen? The complete stuff, it may not be possible to put inside the main function. Suppose, let us assume if you have some 100 lines of code. So if you put that 100 lines of code within the main function, then what will happen? Sometimes handling that program whenever an error occurs or whenever some logic processing may go weird, it will become very difficult for the end user to solve it. It will become very difficult for the end user to rectify those errors. Okay, that's the reason what we do means, as the program size grows, it is a common practice to divide the complex program into smaller elementary parts. We'll divide the big problem into smaller parts. Okay, smaller modules, we also call them as modules. Okay, big problem subdividing into smaller problems. So, if you know the strategy followed by the British people from your what we call civics or political science, you may be aware from the history, you may be aware that the British people, because in order to conquer the India unitedly, it was a tedious job to them. It was a difficult job to them. Then what they have done? They divided the India into smaller states, and then they conquered those smaller states, isn't it? So that same strategy, in order to solve a big problem, we use over here, divide and conquer strategy. So big problem, we'll subdivide that big problem into smaller problems, elementary parts, and we solve those smaller problems individually, and finally we club all those solutions, problem to these small problems, solution to these small problems will combine to frame our final solution of the big problem. Okay, that to understand, see, we have a problem, we said real time problem, a big size problem we are taking. Okay, a big size complex problem. I will write it as a complex problem we have in hand. Complex problem. Why we are saying complex problem means, because we cannot solve this complex problem as a single entity, as it is, what I mean to say. Complex problem, when I am saying, it is difficult to solve as it is. It is difficult to solve as it is. So what we have to do, divide this complex problem into some smaller modules, like let us say module 1, okay, module 2, module 2, and so on, module n. How many modules? Like n number of modules we are dividing. The complex problem, now it is subdivided. Now it is subdivided into multiple parts, multiple modules. So now what we have to do, we have to solve these modules, because now they are in small, okay, small module, not complex now. It is an easy module, we can say. It is an easy module. Small module 1, small module 2, small module n. Like that, they are easy small modules. Now, solve these modules. Okay? Solve module 1. Small module 1. Okay? Likewise, solve all these modules. Solve module 2. Here also same thing. Solve module n. Module n. And finally, after solving all these modules, what we have to do, club the solution, because all these are solutions. When you are solving, what you will get the solutions. Then finally club the solutions to get the final output, final result, what I mean to say. Okay, merge or club solutions, merge the solutions, and this final solution will become, whatever solution you are getting over here, this solution will become the actual solution of this problem 1, isn't it? The actual solution of the problem 1. Like this, we are getting the solution to the complex problem. So by subdividing it into smaller modules, solving those smaller modules, merging the solutions, we are getting the solution to the actual problem, actual complex problem. So the same strategy we use in our C programming as well. If the program size grows and enormously or uncontrollably, then what we do, it is a common practice, we are saying that, to divide the complex problem into smaller elementary parts. Okay, the planning for large programs is simpler. First, we must understand the problem as a whole, then break it into simpler and smaller understandable parts. First, what we have to do, we have to understand the complexity of the problem. So then, after understanding the complexity, what we do, we simply divide the complex problem into smaller, understandable parts. Okay, understandable parts. Okay, we call each of these parts as a program module. Just now I have said, I used the term in my explanation as well. Module. We call these smaller parts as modules, or subdividing a problem into manageable parts is the top-down approach. Okay, in which approach we are doing this one means, first at the top we are having the complex program, and at the lower level we are having the smaller subparts, modules, and after that we are solving these submodules. We are getting the solutions to these submodules, then finally merging the submodule solutions to frame the actual problem solution. So it is a top-down approach, top-down design approach. At the top we are having complex problem, and at the bottom, okay, at the down level we are having the solution to the complex problem. So that's the reason why we call this strategy as top-down design approach. Top-down design approach, dividing the big complex problem into smaller entities, and we call these entities as modules, and solving these modules and getting the solution to the actual problem, entire phenomenon, we are calling it as top down design approach. Okay, top down design approach. So how these complex problem and smaller modules will communicate with each other? Is there any sort of communication we are going to have between these smaller modules and the complex problem? In the sense, yes, we do it with the help of parameter passing. So all these terminologies you have to remember. The communication, the way of communication between the complex problem and the smaller submodules is using parameter passing. They will simply pass some parameters. Parameters are nothing but your variables only, data elements, okay, data containers. So by passing these data containers, these smaller modules will communicate with the complex module. Okay, so the technique what they use in order to communicate the smaller modules and the complex module is, and the complex program is, parameter passing. Remember this one. Remember this one. Parameter passing is a way, is a trick, is a technique with which the smaller modules will communicate with the complex program. Okay, complex problem we can say. Okay, so functions in C. So these smaller modules, what we are saying, after subdividing the complex problem, the smaller modules, what we are getting, what we are having in our program, we call them as functions. Okay, we call them as function. In C, the idea of top-down design is done using functions. So the same, dividing the complex problem into smaller modules, solving smaller modules separately, and combining the solution to get the final solution of the complex problem. This strategy, we said it is a top-down design, isn't it? This strategy, we said top-down design, or divide and conquer strategy, followed by the British people. So if you see this top-down design, how we are achieving this top-down design in our C programming, in the sense with the help of functions. Remember this one. How we are achieving the idea of top-down design means using functions. We'll be using functions over here, and with the help of functions only, we are achieving the top-down design idea. Okay, top-down design idea. Remember this one. Okay, a C program is made up of one or more functions. It is not new to us. Already we used many of the functions, like your printf, it is a function. Your scanf, it is also a function. Unknowingly we used many different functions. Okay, but one and only one function must be the main function. Remember this one, because the main function is the complex problem. Main function is nothing but your complex problem. So only one main is allowed. Only one main is allowed in any C program. We cannot put more than one main. We cannot put more than one main within a same single program. Remember this one. This one also an SAQ question, because at any point of time, whenever we are doing the analysis, whenever we are doing the logic processing, or whenever we are doing some work, it is better to select only one problem. It is better to select only one problem and not to do simultaneous solutions, isn't it? So that's the reason only one particular main is allowed within the C program. We cannot have more than one main function within the C program. Okay, so the idea of top-down design is achieved using functions, and a C program is made up of one or more functions. You can have more functions. Normal functions you can have more in number, but one and only one main function is allowed. Okay, and it should be there. I mean, you cannot skip. You must have this main function, one and only, and it must be there inside your C program. You cannot skip this main function. Remember this function. Remember this statement. Other functions you can skip, but main function you should not, because your entire computation, your program processing, your logic processing, your program execution, compilation, everything starts from main and ends at main. Remember this one. The execution of the program, as I mean just now I said, the execution of the program always starts and ends with main function only. Even if you are writing number of uh, functions, number of user defined functions or number of predefined functions within your program, but always the program execution starts at main function and ends at main function. Okay, this is also one of the reason to put the main function within your C program, because always the program execution is starting at main function and also ending at main function only. Okay, so and all the other functions, they are the intermediary parts. The control will go to them and returns back to the main function. Okay, so the execution of the main program always starts and ends with main, but it can call other functions to do some of the job. Yeah, main function can call other functions. Okay, a function in main including main. Okay, the function in main including main is an independent module that will be called to do some specific job. Okay, inside the main function, whatever functions you are calling or whatever functions you are using, all those functions are independent modules. They are not going to have any kind of relationship in between. Okay, so why we are using these functions means to achieve, to accomplish a specific type of task. By analyzing the complex problem, we will divide the complex problem into some specific jobs based on their behavior, based on the variety. We'll divide these complex problem into some smaller submodules, and these submodules we are dividing so that they should not have any kind of relationship in between. Okay, they should not have any kind of relationship in between. And when you accomplish a particular function, when you execute a particular function, it should give some proper result. Okay, it should give some proper result. A function in main including main is an independent module that will be called to do some specific task. A called function receives the control from calling function. So here these terminological terms you have to understand: what is called function, what is calling function, what is actual parameter, formal parameter, return value. Okay, all these things we need to understand. Okay, that we will go step by step and we will understand. Okay, when the called function complete its tasks, okay, the function which is calling another function, we call that function as a calling function. The function which is called by some other function, we call that function as a called function. Okay, so called function, it receives the control from the calling function. Called function, it receives the control from the calling function, and when the control reaches to the called function, it completes its job, and finally after completing the job, again it will return the control back to the calling function with some result. Okay, with some result we can say. When the called function completes its tasks, it returns control back to the calling function. It may or may not return value to the caller function. Okay, it depends. Mostly it depends. Very soon you will understand when it will return and when it will not. Very soon you will understand. Okay, the function main is called. I mean, then we said every function we need to call, and called function will complete its task, and after completing the task returns the control back to the main function. We said this one. Back to the calling function, we said this one. But as a main function, being a complex program, as a main function, who calls this main function? Who is responsible for calling the main function? It is also an important question. Here you can read in the second statement, second point over here. Okay, who calls the main function? In the sense, the operating system. Okay, the computer's operating system is responsible for calling the main function. No one else can call the main function. Okay, no one else can call the main function. Only the operating system is responsible for calling the main function. Okay, main in turn calls, I mean, main can become a calling function to other user defined functions. But remember, being a complex program, main, who is calling the main function? At the first time, the operating system is calling the main function at the first time. When main is completing its operations, the control return back to the operating system only. When the program execution stops, or when the main function completes all its operations, what it will do? It will return the control back to the operating system only. Okay, in general, the purpose of function is to receive 0 or more pieces of data, operate on them, and return at most one piece of data. Okay, a function it is a small unit, small set of instructions which will do a specific defined task. So in order to do the task, what it has to do, I mean, whatever programs we are doing in C programming, we put some data into the program, process the data, and get some result from the program, isn't it? We are writing a program, we give some input to that program. Suppose you are adding two numbers. So then what you will expect from that program? You have to give two numbers as an input to that program. You have to give two numbers. And then what the program has to do? It has to give some output. It has to give some output. That output will be only one value, isn't it? Mostly it will be only one value. So the function main is, oh yeah, the last statement. In general, the purpose of a function is to receive 0 or more pieces of data, operate on them, and returns at most one piece of data as an output. Okay, so this is something about functions, the concept, the analysis we have done. Then advantages of using functions in C program. What sort of advantages we are going to see if we use functions in our C program? In the sense, yeah, we can divide the complex problem into understandable and manageable modules. Okay, so basically what we are doing with the help of functions, we are dividing the big complex problem into smaller, understandable, manageable subunits, and we are calling these subunits or submodules as functions. That is the first advantage. We can easily solve the complex problem, what I mean to say. The second one, they provide a way to reuse code. Code reusability also we are achieving. Suppose if you are writing one function, one specific task inside a function, being a unit, being a module, it can be reused. Okay, return only one time, you can call that function many times. Return only one time, you can call this function many times. So that is the concept of code reusability. Code reusability also we are achieving with the help of functions. We are writing a particular function only one time, and we are using that particular function many times. We are calling that function many times in our program development. Okay, in our program development. So this is the concept of code reusability. Okay, functions are used to protect data, and they are also a mean to protect the data, secure the data. You know, in today's world, in today's environment, how much importance the security is having, data security is having. So simply with the help of functions, I mean, whatever variables, whatever data values we are declaring, inside a particular function, the visibility of those variables, the scope of those variables will become limited to that function only. Outside the function, you simply can't see those variables. So in this way, we are achieving the what we call data security. All these concepts once again I will explain when we go with the normal program execution. Over there I will show you all these things: what is calling function, what is called function, what are parameters, what is return value, how we are doing code reusability, how we are doing this what we call data security. All these things we will discuss. So first thing we said, we are dividing the big problem into smaller, understandable, manageable parts, so that the solving we are doing easily, the solutions we are getting easily. The second one, the code reusability we are achieving, we said. The third one, data security it is providing. Okay, as local data stored within a function, it can't be seen outside of that function. In that way, what we are doing, we are achieving the data security in using functions. First one is dividing and solving. Second one, code reusability. Third one, the data security. These three are the major advantages which we can expect with functions. Hopefully you understood. So the next one, the user defined functions. See, these functions, they can be of two types. One is predefined and the other one is user defined. So I will write that thing over here. Functions, they are of two types. Functions, we said two types. The first one, we call them as predefined functions. Predefined functions. We also call them as built-in functions. Built-in functions. Predefined functions are simply built-in functions. Okay. The second one is user defined. See, these two terms you have to understand because I'm giving the explanation now. User defined functions. See, these built-in functions, uh, we are only using them. We are not defining them. Defining in the sense uh, writing the code for those functions. Defining in the sense writing the code for those functions. We are not writing any code for the predefined built-in functions. Example is your printf. Okay, your printf function we used many times in our programming. Printf. And your scanf function, this also we used many times in our programming. Okay, printf and scanf, these two are the functions, built-in functions or predefined functions for which we are remembering only how to use these functions, how to use this printf, how to use this scanf. We are remembering that uh, syntax only associated with these predefined functions, but we are not remembering the internal code, how this printf function is defined, how this scanf function is defined. We are not concentrating, we are not focusing on that one. We are simply remembering the syntax and we are using them in our program. Okay, so whenever you are seeing these parentheses after a keyword, whenever you are seeing parentheses like open bracket, close bracket and this semicolon, it indicates a function in C programming. Okay, this shows a function in our C programming. Even to your main, we are writing these two. Main followed by open bracket, close bracket. Like this we are writing. So main is also a function. Okay, and we said we are not calling the main function. So this keeping the semicolon at the end indicates that we are calling the function. Keeping the semicolon at the end indicates we are calling a function. Okay, many times in many of our programs we don't call our main function. We don't call our main function. So for that, who is responsible? We said who will call the main function? We said the operating system itself calls the main function. Okay, the operating system will call the main function, we said. We are not responsible for calling the main function, we said. So that's the reason when you're writing the main function, we are not keeping the semicolon at the end. But whereas this printf and scanf, we are calling these functions from your main function. So definitely we need to put the semicolon at the end of this printf as well as at this scanf. So predefined functions, we are not coding them. We are not writing any definition to them. Coding is nothing but writing the definition. We are not writing any definition for predefined functions. What we are doing, simply we are remembering the syntax of predefined functions and we are using them in our program. We are calling them from our program. Like this, you remember. So predefined functions, who wrote the code? I mean, who wrote the code for these predefined functions? In the sense that the developers of the language, the designers of the language who designed C programming. Like we said, the Dennis Ritchie and the team have designed this C language in the year 1972. So at that time, while designing the programming language, at that time only they have written the code for printf scanf. So from that point onwards, we are simply using that definition, I mean using that function calling. We are not doing any research on definition, any research on the code associated with these programs. Okay, so remember predefined functions. The developers are responsible for these predefined functions. We are not using any, I mean, we are not coding any code. We are not writing any code for these predefined functions. So that's the reason predefined. Before using, they are defined. So that's the reason predefined, built in. Okay, with the program library, they are coming, so built in. So next thing is user defined. User defined function, we as a programmer, we only give the name, we only write the code, and we only use them in our program. So only the user or programmer is responsible for these user defined functions. Who is responsible? User or programmer is responsible for doing all the things, because we said whenever we use an object, so function is also an object. So whenever we use an object in our programming in C language, we said we need to do the declaration, that is nothing but providing the name. We need to do the definition, that is nothing but specifying the type. We need to do the initialization, that is nothing but initializing the value, assigning the value. These three things we have to do. In case of functions also, we need to do the declaration, we need to do the definition, and we need to do the calling. Here in case of functions, we say not initialization but calling, function calling. So what are the things? Function declaration, function declaration. Declaration is nothing but giving the name, giving the name. Then function definition, function definition. Definition is nothing but providing the body, writing the code related to this function, function definition. Then finally the function call. Three things we need to understand. Function call. Function call is something same like doing the initialization. Function declaration, function definition, and function call. These three things as a programmer we have to do. We have to declare the function, we have to define the function, and we have to do the function call. Okay, all the things are we are doing. That's the reason why we are calling them as user defined function. Okay, everything, function definition, function declaration, will be done by the program developers over here. In case of predefined function, we are doing only the function call. So that's the reason why we are calling them as predefined functions. Hopefully you understood. So user defined functions, as I said, we as a programmer, we have to do the declaration, definition, and initialization. That same thing you will read from this first statement. Try to understand that one. Like every other object in C, being an object, function also needs to be declared, needs to be defined, and needs to be initialized. Function must be declared, defined, and called. We say calling. Okay, called when needed. Okay, the function declaration needs to be done before the function call. Mentions the name of the function. Declaration means mentions the name of the function, the return type, and the order of formal parameters. So these three things we do in case of function declaration. What we have to do? We have to specify the name of the function. You can read over here. We have to specify the name of the function, the first thing. Then the return value, return type, the second thing. And parameter order, parameter type and order. This is the third thing. Okay, we need to do these three things: parameter, type, and order. These three things we have to do in case of what? Function declaration. When you are doing the function declaration, you need to specify the function name, return type, function name, return type, and the order and type of the parameters, formal parameters. Okay, yeah, the declaration where we are doing, We also call it as a function header. Okay, function header. Okay, and it must be ended like with a semicolon. The function declaration, it must be ended with a semicolon. So this is all about user defined functions. User defined functions, we as a user, we are using them in our program, so we need to do the declaration, we need to do the definition, and we need to call them whenever required. Okay, so in that function declaration, we said inside the declaration we have to do three things. We need to specify the function name, we need to do the return type, we need to specify the return type, and we need to put the type and order of all the formal parameters. These three things we have to do whenever we are doing the function declaration. Okay, and we said declaration, it will come before writing the main function or before calling it inside the main function. So how this declaration will look like means it is something like a prototype or something like a header which will end with a semicolon, which will end with a semicolon. The function definition, what it will have, the function definition will have the actual body of the function, the actual code associated with the function. Okay, the function definition can be coded. Yeah, function definition we can put even after the function call, because function declaration we write before the main function, function definition we write within the main function, sorry, function call we do within the main function, and function definition we do after the main function. Okay, so the function definition can be coded after the function call, contains the code needed to complete the task, the actual logic where we write in the sense inside the function body only we write, and that thing we call it as function definition. Okay, and function call. Okay, yeah, here you can read this first statement. The function definition, function declaration already we discussed, function definition can be coded after the function call. Okay, contains the code needed to complete the task. Whatever task you want to accomplish with the help of this function, you have to put inside this function, and this function definition, this function body can come after the main function as well. Okay, the function call, the function call where we are doing means this can be done within the main function or within some other function we are doing. The function call comes within a function which calls it to get the portion of the job to be done. Whatever job, whatever task you have given for this function, to accomplish the task we need to call the function. To accomplish the task we need to call the function. The function name uses uh, three times. I mean, the same function name we use three times. Inside the function declaration we use the function name, inside the function definition we use the function name, and inside the function call also we use the function name. So where we are using function name inside declaration, definition, and call. Yeah, now I will show you a simple C program with functions, and I will show you how this functions concept can be used inside your C program. Okay, so quickly, without much wasting the time, I'm going to my IDE. I'm opening an source file. So over here, what I'm going to do means I will write the structure first, structure of C program first. That is this much, stdio.h. Hash include stdio.h. Then int main of what? Okay, this much we are writing. So over here, what I do is I will take one function. I want to use one function with name sample. My function name is sample. Okay, so that function, it will have two ends. One is the input end and the other one is output end. So initially, as this is my first program using functions, I'm not going to pass any input to the function and I'm not going to take any output from the function. So how we show that we don't have any input and we don't have any output in the sense, see, whenever I said I will take a function with name sample. Okay, I said I'm taking a function with name sample. So this sample will be the function name. Sample will be the function name. So all small letters basically we have to use. All small letters we have to use. So sample, SAMPLE. This is my function. So being a function, we have to put like this, I said. We have to put open bracket, close bracket, and at the end you have to put the semicolon. So when you do the declaration, what the thing we have to specify? We need to specify, see here, in our, yeah, when we do the declaration, we need to specify the function name of the function. Here you can read it, name of the function. Here I have given the name of the function. Okay, then next thing, return type it is saying. Return type is nothing but the output from the function. Okay, that it will give from here. Okay, this is the location from where you will get the output. Output. This is the location from where you will get the output. Then he is saying type and order of formal parameters. Type and order of formal parameters. So this is the place. I mean, the type and order of formal parameter is nothing but input to the function. So input from where we will give, from this point we will give. From this point we will give the input. Remember this one. It is this particular thing, it is very important. So how we are giving means in terms of formal parameters. Formal parameters, whenever you see this one, formal parameters, sorry, not formal parameters, not formal parameters, these are actual parameters. So whenever you see this one, you remember this thing. So in input, we are, what we are doing means we are passing actual parameters. This is in case of function calling. This is in case of function calling. But in case of function declaration, here formal parameters only it will come. Okay. So this is the place from where you will get the output, and this is the place from where you pass the input to the function. And input to the function, it can be either formal or actual parameters. It just depends on where you are calling this function. I mean, what you are doing with that function. In case if you are calling, it will become actual parameters. In case if you are doing the declaration, this will become formal parameters. Like that you remember. Okay. So this is the place from where we take the output, and this is the place from where you put the input. Suppose if you don't want to take any output from the function, simply put void, void. Okay, the data type void. About this we discussed. Data type void means no values, no operations. Likewise we discussed. So if you don't want to pass any input, again here also you put void. Void means no values, no operations. So quickly go and see that one. So as I said, I'm not going to take any output from the function. So I'm taking void, function name as sample, and input I'm not passing anything. So again void. So this is my sample program, sample function. So we, as we said, this is declaration. Whatever we have done over here, this is function declaration. Okay. So now the definition, function definition, same thing. Like this you have to do. Okay. Uh, yeah. After this, I'm printing only one small statement. Printf hello world, like this. Take backslash and put the semicolon at the end. So now from the main function I can call that sample. So like this I am calling this sample. Okay. So this is function call. Function call. And this is function definition. Function definition. Okay. So like this you remember function declaration, function call, and function definition. Okay. Yeah, these three things must be done, we said. Okay, function declaration must be done, function definition must be done, and function call must be done. So all these things we specified over here. So now simply save this program, go and save, give the program name as function.c, program saved. See, uh, yeah, how the program execution will be done over here in the sense, first the control will come as usual. The control will start, the program execution will start from the main function. Okay, the control will start from this point, then it will come over here, it will come over here. So what it is, when you see this one, it is a function call. So immediately when the program sees the function call, it will jump from here to here, it will jump from here to here, and then it will print this hello world. It will print this hello world, and again after printing this hello world, it will come back to the sample, and it will return from the main function. It will exit from the main function. So what I mean to say over here is, always the entry point and exit point for the program is the main function only. the entry point and exit point for the program is main function only. Whatever functions we are writing, user defined functions we are writing, that we have to call from the main function only. Okay, remember this one. So next, compile the program. Program compilation, as you can see, it is successful, and run the program. You can see hello world on the output screen. Okay, many other things related to these functions we will see in our next class, hopefully. Thank you very much, students.